So in order to use the right form of the verb, you should be able to identify the subject, whether it is in singular or plural. The verb, the sentence agrees with the noun or pronoun closest to it. So the pen is closest here. Here the subject is singular, the main subject. So we are using singular verb. Hello, hi, namaste and welcome to Vidhyaashram, the Temple of Excellence. I am Nandakishore, Faculty of English in Vidhyaashram, Mysuru. In my previous session, I had discussed about subject-verb agreement, which was prescribed in your workbook. But in today's session, I'm going to talk about subject-verb agreement rules. In my previous session, I had discussed about only the exercises, the examples, which is prescribed in your first PUC workbook. But in today's session, I'm going to teach you something extra, something more. Now, if you have any doubt, sir, are we supposed to know all these rules? My answer would be yes. The more you know, the better it is for you. If you have stored this in your kitty, you can use it when it is necessary. So without any delay, let us start with subject-verb agreement, 10 rules. There is a basic rule in subject-verb agreement. The basic rule says a singular subject, for example, she, Bill or car or any other subject which is in singular form takes a singular verb as is, goes, shines. It could be any other word for that matter. For a singular subject, we're going to use singular verb. Whereas a plural subject takes a plural verb. For example, a bunch of keys is missing. We are not talking about keys here. We are talking about a bunch. In my previous session, I had already discussed about this example, but I'm going to reuse it and give you more clarification. As I told you, we are not talking about the keys here. No, we are talking about a bunch. A bunch is missing. Is the verb. This is the basic rule. So in order to use the right form of the verb, you should be able to identify the subject, whether it is in singular or plural. So that is the basic rule. Let's start with rule number 1. Rule number 1, a subject will come before a phrase beginning with of. So this is a simple trick. You need to remember all these tricks and all these formulas and ideas. This is a key rule for understanding subjects. The very first rule, usually the subject comes before of, the word of. The word of is the culprit in many, perhaps most subject-verb mistakes. For example, a bouquet of flowers smells good. If you throw light, if you give importance, or if you are able to wrongly identify the flowers as the subject, then you're going wrong. It is not the flowers, it is a bouquet. A bouquet of flowers smells good. If this part is not written, flowers smell good, because flowers is the subject, but since we have a subject, a bouquet is the subject, main subject here, of flowers smells good. A box of chocolates is missing. As I told you, if we remove this word, a phrase, a box of, then chocolates is missing is wrong. Chocolates are missing. But since we have a box is the subject, main subject here. Chocolates is missing. A box of chocolates is missing. It is not plural. It is singular. If I remove this A and boxes of chocolates are missing. If I just rephrase the sentence, then boxes of chocolates are missing. It is not is missing. Rule number 2, two singular subjects connected by or, either or neither or nor require a singular verb. Remember, all of these words are either, nor. Then the subject takes singular verb. For example, my father or my mother is attending the meeting today. Is the verb, is attending the meeting today. If I just remove or alter this or, and if I use and, there is another rule. If I remove or and if I replace this or with and, then this would be are, A-R-E. Are attending the meeting today. Neither or neither Punjab nor Chennai is playing well in IPL. Is playing. We are talking about two different teams. So neither of that or neither of that is playing well in IPL. Rule number 3, the verb in an, or, either or neither or nor sentence agrees with the noun or the pronoun closest to it. Just go back to rule number 2. Observe this. Two singular subjects. We are talking about two singular subjects connected by, but in rule number 3, we are talking about the verb in an, or, either or neither or nor sentence agrees with the noun or pronoun closest to it. What is this closest to it? Look at these examples. Neither the pencils nor the pen goes in that box. If you observe, there are two subjects. Neither the pencils is plural, nor the pen, which is singular. So we are using goes, which is singular verb. I hope you are able to follow this. The closest, if you find either or nor, the sentence beginning with either or nor, neither, then the verb, the sentence agrees with the noun or pronoun closest to it. So the pen is closest here. For example, second example, neither or neither the pen is singular, nor the pencils, which is plural, which will agree with closest. So this verb is agreeing with the closest noun or pronoun or the subject in simple. So we are using plural verb. Try to remember this. It's a bit tricky, it's a bit difficult to follow all the 10 rules, but take up more examples and try to solve it. Rule number 4. As a general rule, use a plural verb with two or more subjects when they are connected by and. I already told you and or. So be careful with using verbs with and or. Example, a car and a bike are my means of transportation. We are clubbing two different subjects, and when they are connected, clubbed or joined, it becomes plural. Exceptions are there. It's not just when you connect two different subjects by using and it becomes plural. There are exceptions as well you need to remember, and you need to know it. It is a mandatory concept that you should know the exception rules as well. Breaking and entering is against the law. Here, breaking is different entity. It is different action. Entering is different action. But it is clubbed together as one, and we are talking about singular, as singular subject or singular action is against the rule. Try to remember, the more examples you take and the more examples you solve, the better it is for you. Here, the second example, exception, the bed and breakfast was charming. The bed, we are talking about the bed and breakfast. bed and breakfast, which becomes one, was charming. Just like bread and butter is good to eat in the morning. Slow and study wins the race. It is not slow is different and study is different. Slow and study wins the race. If it is two different entities, win the race. I hope you are able to follow this. Rule number 5. Sometimes the subject is separated from the verb by such words as long with. Let me just go back to the previous slide. Here, these concepts are considered as one, singular. But in rule number 5, sometimes the subject is separated from the verb by such words as long with, as well as, besides, not, etc. These words and phrases are not part of the subject. Ignore them and use a singular verb when the subject is singular. This is a bit difficult to understand. So I've just taken up a couple of examples. Let me just explain this description using these examples. The captain, along with, we're talking about along with his teammates. Teammates, plural form. Then, if that is the case, we should have used are. But, so these words will make the subject singular. Ignore the rule and use the singular verb when the subject is singular. Here, the subject is singular, the main subject. So, we are using singular verb. If we remove this sentence, teammates are expected shortly. But we have a sentence, the captain along with his teammates is expected shortly. Prime Minister along with his cabinet crew or cabinet ministers is attending the session. We are talking about Prime Minister who is singular. Excitement as well as nervousness is the cause. It is not are the cause, is the cause of her shaking. I'm just describing these words using these examples or sentences. Rule number 6. In sentences beginning with here or there, the true subject follows the verb. You need to remember this. It is nothing but mathematics, just like 2 plus 2 equals 4. I hope you are able to follow. If you ask me, sir, are we supposed to remember all these words? Yes. Without remembering the tables, you cannot solve mathematical problems. Just like mathematics, without remembering few exceptions, formulas or rules, without remembering few words, you cannot solve subject-verb agreement. So in sentences beginning with here or there, the true subject follows the verb. For example, there are 4 ponds to fill. There are 4 ponds to fill. Here are the books. Example, here are the books. There are books here, there. So the true subject follows the verb. Wrong usage. There is a lot of people here today. This is one of the most used wrong usage even by the native speakers. You might have watched a couple or more movies, or you might have watched in any movies where film stars or the actors are using these sentences. There is a lot of people. Now, even the native speakers, even people in England, they are using these words, which is wrong. Don't use it. According to grammar, grammatically speaking, this sentence is wrongly used. Speaking and writing is different. We are talking about grammar usage. According to that grammar usage, this sentence is completely wrong. Don't ever use it. It is always, there are a lot of people here today. There are a lot of people here today. Rule number 7. use a singular verb with distances, periods of time, sums of money, etc. when considered as a unit, remember this, as a unit. Examples, 2 miles, if you observe, this is plural, but we are using is as a singular verb. 2 miles is not too far. 7 years, we are talking about years here, which is plural, which seems plural, but periods of time, was sentenced for that offense. $10 is a high price to pay. $10 is a high price to pay. According to this description, we are making use of the rules. Rule number 8, with words that indicate portions. Example, a lot, a majority, some, all. Rule number 1, remember rule number 1 given earlier in this section is reversed, and we are guided by the noun after of. If the noun after of is singular, use a singular verb. If it is plural, use a plural verb. According to rule number 1, usually the subject is placed after of or before of. Here, a lot of, the pie has disappeared. Some of the pies are missing. Remember, there are 2 examples here. A lot of pie has disappeared. A lot. We are talking about some here. Some of the pies are missing. The verb singular and plural. We are talking about of. Some, a lot, majority, a majority, some. It is reversed. Majority of the crowd is dispersed. Majority of the crowd is dispersed. Rule number 8. With collective nouns such as group, jury, family, audience, population, the verb might be singular or plural depending on the writer's intent. If I am a writer, it is my intention to throw light on the subject as a singular or as a plural. If I want to see the subject as a singular, then I can use singular verb. If I want to make use of the subject as a plural, according to my intention, it is my wish, then I can throw the light on the subject as a plural and use plural verb. Example, all my family member has arrived or have arrived. Second example, most of the jury is here. Jury, one who gives the judgment. Most of the jury is here or are here. According to this rule, we are going to make use of, according to the writer's intent, we are going to make use of verb as a singular or plural. Last rule, the word were replaces was in the sentences that express a wish or are contrary to fact. It could be a wish or are contrary to fact. For example, if Jay were here, you would be happy. According to the statement, we have to use was. No. Most of us make mistake while telling this. Wish I was him. If you make use of this sentence, wish I was him, it is wrong usage. Wish I were him. Why? Because you are making a wish or are contrary to the fact. You cannot be him at all. At any cost of time, you cannot be somebody else. So it is contrary to the fact, and that's the reason we use were. Wish it were Friday. It is not wish it was Friday today. Now, it is wish it were Friday today. So that's the rule you need to follow. I hope you have followed all the 10 rules. It is quite difficult to follow at times. Even the native speakers will go wrong in identifying all these rules. I am not telling this, it is a survey. The survey says that 70% of the native English speakers, they don't know grammar. The grammar they use in daily life is wrong. Let us not make the same mistake while using the grammar part. I hope these 10 rules will definitely help you. That's it for today's session. I'm going to meet you in my next session. In my next session, I'm going to talk about word order. This will be asked for a couple of marks. Let's concentrate on word order in my next session. Until then, keep practicing subject, verb, agreement, 10 different rules. Keep practicing. Let's meet in the next session. Have a good day.